Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Spill the D. I'm Gina. I'm one of your hosts, joined with my amazing and handsome co-host Rick. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing good. I'm thriving. You're such a liar, though. You are not doing well.
I am tired, but that's fine. That doesn't mean I'm not doing well.
I'm at the air conditioning.
Oh, yeah, our air conditioning is broken right now. So if you're watching on YouTube and I'm glistening by the end of this episode, that's why, because we don't have air right now. Also, want to apologize for our audio last week. We were having some issues with the microphones. So if Gina sounded like a robot, apologies.
It was only in some parts. In some parts, it was just my sick voice because I was still sick.
Yeah.
And in other parts, it was full-on robot that I cannot explain. I tried so hard to fix it and nothing worked. So you get what you get sometimes.
Yeah.
I hope everyone who listened found it really informative and was able to get the information that they wanted if they want to become a travel agent with 407 and Beyond Vacation Co. Because Bruce came on and he answered any question that you might have had.
Yeah. Other thing, real quick, before we get started. Anybody who's watching on YouTube and anybody who's not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube right now. Let me know if you think this shirt that I'm wearing right now looks good on me. So you can be honest.
That's like fishing for compliments.
No, because here's the thing. I don't think this color looks good on me, so I want people to be honest with me if they think it's my color or not. I don't think it is. You said you think I look fine, which I think you're obligated to say contractually. But
no, I'm obligated to be honest. My honest opinion is I would not use the term "it is your color," but I don't think it's a bad looking color on you. He's wearing teal.
I'm not trying to fish for compliments. I swear. I'm just curious because I don't think this color looks good on me, and it's really upsetting because it's my half marathon shirt. So I want to wear it, but I don't think that the color looks good on me.
Anyone who's not watching on YouTube already turned the podcast off. They already were like, "What is this podcast?"
No, they didn't.
If they're new here, they were just, this is how we started.
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. It's a great color on you. It's fine. You look good, kid. It's not your color, but it's a fine color on you. Your color is like purple. You rock a purple shirt.
Interesting. Anyway.
We're
here to recap our trip to Disneyland, which I'm very excited about because I had a great time.
I had a fantastic time. We went to Disneyland about 2 weeks ago now. We did push the recap back 1 week so we can squeeze in the episode with Bruce because we had to push that back. I'll move around. So we made sure to take notes and write everything down. So we should have everything for you, especially the big notable things that we want to make sure we share with you about our trip to Disneyland. I almost said Walt Disney World out of habit. To Disneyland.
Where we usually go.
We are East Coasters.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the episode, we do have 2 pieces of news for you. Then we'll get into the fun part. Not that discussing Rick's outfit choices is not always fun.
I'll never wear the shirt again if people think it looks bad.
Oh my god, now no one's going to be honest if they think it looks bad.
That's fine. So our first piece of news that we have is there is now a Disney Water Park seasonal pass available. Weirdly enough, it's valid September 4th through May 23rd, so it's valid during the winter time, but it is only $79 per person.
That's why. It's because they're trying to get people in.
I mean, if it's warm enough, I'll go whenever.
Yeah, $79 per person. This is great for if you're local or if you're not someone who usually stays on property, because just a friendly reminder, as of January 1st, 2025, you get into the water park for free on the first day of your vacation. Yeah. And if you really want to maximize that, if you have a split stay, that's 2 free days at the water park because it's on the check-in of your hotel day if you're staying on Walt Disney World property. So if you have a split stay, that gives you 2 check-in days.
Yeah. Notably, there are some blockout dates for this whole pass thing. It's April 12th through April 20th. I'm not really sure why, but those are blockout dates.
Is that Easter?
It might be Easter. That's a good point.
Thank you.
So yeah, there are some blockout dates, but $79 a person, not bad if you're local and you think it's going to be warm.
You think if you're living in Orlando, Florida, and worried that it might be a little bit warm.
Well, during the day, if it only gets into like the 70s, that's not water park weather.
The hard part is for locals, if they have an annual pass, it's only $100 to add the water park option on, and that also covers golf at Oak Tree Golf Course. So
and you get summertime.
I mean, you get all of it, but this is really good if maybe you already have the annual pass and you didn't add that on, or if your family was going to go to the water park for even 2 days while you're on vacation, especially if it's at the end of this year, that could be more worth it to add on than 2 individual water park tickets.
Yeah.
Okay, and the only other piece of news we want to announce, this is for all of you Disney Vacation Clubbers or prospective Disney Vacation Club members. Disney has officially announced the sale dates and booking dates for the new Island Tower at the Polynesian. So you could already book with cash. So if you have no interest in Disney Vacation Club, good news. You can already book with that. It is sold out like almost through December when I looked, but you can book with cash. But as of October 1st, sales begin for current Disney Vacation Club members. On October 15th, then it's current and add-on Disney Vacation Club members at the Polynesian can book with your vacation points.
Okay.
So whether you currently are an owner at the Polynesian or on the first you bought points at the new tower, then you can book on October 15th.
Okay.
On October 29th, sales open to the public. So if you're not currently a DVC member and you want to be one, this is the time to buy. October 29th, you can buy at this tower. November 5th, this is when new members at the Polynesian Villas and Bungalows can book with your vacation points. So you're almost a month behind previous members and add-on members. Mm-hmm. On the 19th, all members can book with vacation points.
Gotcha.
And on the 17th of December, on the 19th of November, all members can book. I don't know if I said that. November 5th is when new members can book. November 19th is when all members can book. And then December 17th is when it is set to open.
That's a lot of dates.
It's a lot of dates, but if you heard the one that sticks out to you, you're good. Like for us, the important one is November 19th. That's when we can book.
Yeah. Because
we don't currently own at the Polynesian and we're not buying at the Polynesian. Yeah.
But you also said that this was on Disney Vacation Club's Instagram, correct?
On their website, on their Instagram. Website.
So if you want to go check out the dates, if Gina reading through all those dates was a little much for you, because I know it was for me, go check out their Instagram.
I didn't think it was too bad. I thought I made that pretty straightforward. Here are your dates.
No, you did. You did.
Find the one you need.
A lot for me to keep up with.
Sorry, might have went a little too fast. That's all right. Let's get into the Disneyland recap because that's the more fun part anyway.
Yeah.
So let's get started. We went in the beginning of September.
Yep.
We actually were going because we were doing the Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon weekend.
And why were we doing that?
Because Disney does this thing called Coast to Coast Challenge, where if you do a 10-miler or more on each coast at least once, you get a special medal that says Coast to Coast. So we spent thousands of extra dollars so I could get a piece of metal.
Uh-huh.
And I did!
Yay!
Yay! So...
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, we got the medals. So we went and we did the 10K and the half marathon. Rick did the half marathon and we got the Coast to Coast medal.
Yeah.
So...
We being you and Meg.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure if you do the Food and Wine run in November, if we just like happen to add that on and go
then
for a third week in November, you would also get the Coast to Coast medal.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty cool. We'd have to get your own medal rack if you did that.
I feel like we should already. I have 3 medals.
That's so true. That is so true.
I'm basically a professional runner at this point.
So true. So we went, it was Rick, myself, if you're listening, again, I am Gina. We also went with Megan Torres, who is one of the travel agents from 407 and Beyond, and her mom, who also was eligible for the Coast to Coast medal and received it. So, real quick on that note, this is your official reminder that we are the official podcast of 407 and Beyond Vacation Co. They helped us book this trip and get everything we wanted out of it. They are a Disney and Universal Orlando travel agency that books and plans family vacations to destinations such as Walt Disney World, Universal Orlando, Disney Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean, so much more. Doesn't cost any extra to book with them. Their services are 100% free, and their agents do everything, so all you have to do is show up and have fun. You can get a no-obligation quote at 407vacations.com. And again, last week, we talked to Bruce about everything you need to know if you want to become one of the travel agents there. They are hiring, so be sure to look into that if that is something that you want for yourself in the future. Day one.
So, first day out was travel day. We left fairly early in the morning. Our flight was at like 6 something, right?
It was at 8 a.m.
It was at 8 a.m. We left at 6 something to get to the airport for our 8 a.m. flight.
Yeah, sure.
I don't remember. So, thankfully, going to California is a 3-hour time difference. So the way there, we gained 3 hours, and we got there like 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we
because of the
time traveled a little
difference.
bit. It was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. The way back, not so great, but the way there, awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So the first thing we did when we got there was we went to the Run Disney Expo, which was my first expo as a runner.
And what'd you think?
It was overwhelming. There was a lot going on. Because there's dozens of booths throughout the whole expo that have everything from sunglasses to running gummies that give you energy while you run. And a bunch of other stuff that I didn't really need, but I was curious to look at, which still kind of overwhelmed me because there was just so many tables to go through and so many things to look at. So going through, we ended up going into the merch area, which I was thoroughly disappointed by because there wasn't really anything that I liked.
I completely agree, actually. I didn't think the merchandise was that great for this one. I think it could have been a lot better considering that the themes were really good for the run.
So I say this was my first Run Expo as a runner. I've been to the expo before with Gina as I guess you could say spectator, even though I wasn't really spectating at the moment.
Supporter.
And I liked the merch that they had better at the expo that I've been to before as opposed to this one. Which was disappointing because this was the one I was actually running and I was ready to get some merchandise.
He had his wallet ready and there was not really too much that was too great.
And part of that's on me because I didn't do the 10K, which I did like some of the merch for the 10K, but I still don't know if I would have bought anything for it.
I didn't like anything enough.
Yeah, so the themes for the runs were the 5K was Chippendale, right?
Yes.
The 10K was the Hitchhiking Ghosts, which Gina is wearing the shirt right now, if you're on the YouTube. And then the half marathon was
the Sanderson sisters, but it was the mini Daisy and Clarabelle version of the Sanderson sisters.
So, not that I don't like the Sanderson sisters, but I'm a bigger fan of the Hitchhiking Ghosts. So, based on what I like, I should have done that run, but I didn't. Anyway, a little disappointed by the merchandise, but that's fine. So then after the expo, we went to dinner, right? It was dinner or was it
was
lunch?
like dinner at that point.
Yeah,
we
it was
went over
mid-afternoon.
Yeah, we went over to Trader Sam's. It actually was one of the first full meals that we had that day. With it being a travel day, it kind of threw everything off. We got drinks and we got dinner, and I had the best mojito I've ever had in my life.
It was a really good mojito.
It was also the most expensive mojito I've ever had in my life. It was $20 or $17 just for the drink. And don't get me wrong, Disney drinks are expensive, but I feel like they're usually $17 after the tip. Mm-hmm. It was $17 to start for just a plain mojito.
Yeah. And we were also in California, which is more expensive.
Well, yeah, so I was going to say we were in California, and then we also got steak. There was a meal, it was $30-something with a Hawaiian platter, and it was pieces of steak and rice and vegetables. It was a really good amount of food. So that meal ended up being pretty expensive for the two of us, what we paid, and I was absolutely petrified for what the entire week was going to hold. Because I'm used to Disney prices, but it was Disney plus California prices, and I was really paranoid, and I have to say that was the most expensive meal we had the whole time. It was. It honestly was all uphill from there when it came to the prices. It was not as bad as Trader Sam's was.
Yeah.
But Trader Sam's was delicious.
The food was fantastic, yes. But it was fairly expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is something we knew going in, but I think it was just a little bit of a sticker shock, even knowing what Disney prices are like.
Yeah.
So we went to Trader Sam's, and then we headed on over to Downtown Disney. Meg needed a bathing suit. We wanted to get the Magic Band Pluses because they work there and at Disney World, and we only have the regular Magic Bands that don't work at Disneyland.
Yeah.
So we were like, cool, this is an investment. That is when we learned that the DVC discount is only 10% in Disneyland, where it's 20% in Disney World.
Very sad.
So that one took us for a shock, threw us for a loop. But they're Downtown Disney. I had thought that maybe we would spend a good chunk of the night there following the expo. And I knew it was going to be smaller, but it was not nearly as entertaining as Disney Springs.
No, I agree.
I hate to compare it, at least for this episode. We have an episode coming up where we are going to compare Disneyland to Disney World, but just to throw it out there, it is not a whole night kind of affair like Disney Springs is. We were kind of in and out. The stores were a lot more just shops, not Disney-esque shops or...
It was more like, the movie theater bowling lane, like what is it called, a bowling alley?
Bowling lanes.
It was more like the movie theater bowling alley side of Disney Springs than the other side where like World of Disney and stuff is. It was like regular shops, not as many like Disney specific shops, and restaurants was mostly what was there.
Yeah.
Which was fine. Like when we went back, we were there the morning after the half marathon, and I got some food there, and we were just walking around and stuff, and I had a good time there. I enjoyed going through the shops and stuff like that, but it just wasn't exactly what I was looking for when it came to Disney Springs.
Yeah, no, it was okay. It was fine.
Or downtown Disney, I guess.
Yeah, we got what we needed, and then we kind of headed out. We went back. We had about a little less than a mile walk to our hotel. It was 3/4 of a mile.
Mm-hmm.
By day 3, we were Ubering, and it was actually only like a $6 to $8 Uber, which is really nice.
Yeah.
6 to 8 is what I just said, not 68. $6 to $8 Uber, depending on the day. So that was really nice. But we went back, and we just spent the night at the pool because we brought a heat wave with us.
We did.
So this time of year at Disneyland, it should be about 80 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
It was over 100 degrees every single day that we were there.
The high for the one day was 109.
Yes, it kind of feels like it does in this room where we're recording right now. It was very warm, very hot.
Yes.
This was a blessing in disguise, though, as you're going to learn when we tell you about day 2, because extreme heat to Californians, I learned, is the equivalent of rain in Orlando. The locals don't show up.
Yeah.
There's no point because they can go any other day, so why go out and die in the heat? So the middle of the day when the heat was at its worst, completely empty parks. We had such a great experience in the parks when it came to the crowds the entire weekend because people just did not want to be there.
Yeah. And I would like to point out, you said that heat is to Californian as rain is to Floridians as far as the locals go. Disneyland is significantly more locals than Disney World. So it was noticeable, very noticeable how empty the parks were in Disneyland. Like when it rains in Disney World, like it's still like there's still people there. You can still feel that the park is somewhat crowded, but the heat in the middle of the day made it seem like the park had just opened like for extra magic hours or something.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like we were walking through Avengers Campus and we were like, where is everybody?
Yeah.
There's nobody around us right now. So it was very hot, but we stuck it out and it ended up being absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was.
All right, so let's tell you about day 2. We rope dropped. Rope drop at Disneyland, so different than what I was expecting.
Yeah, it was.
It was very laid back. Very laid back. We literally went to the Starbucks on Main Street, worked our way down Main Street. This was all like 7:45. Rope drop was 8 a.m.
Yeah.
We're moseying down Main Street. We get to the rope by 8 a.m. There's barely anybody there waiting. There was people there, but like not crazy crowds.
Yeah.
And we rope dropped Fantasyland. That came recommended by a lot of people, including Megan, her mom. Mandy recommended that one. Just a lot of the 407 agents recommended this. So we did it and highly recommend. Fantasyland there, the way it's set up, everything is so close to each other and the exit of one ride leads to the entrance of the other, like of the next one. So we got Starbucks on Main Street, moseyed down, and still were the first people on Pinocchio that morning.
Yeah, and they're all, at least in my opinion, they're all the rides that you don't want to wait like an hour for.
I agree.
It's like the Peter Pans and It's a Small Worlds of Disney World. Sorry again to keep comparing, but I know most people listening probably know that one the best. But it's like the rides that you don't necessarily want to wait an hour for, but you do want to get on. And like Gina said, there was 4 of them all in this little area, so it was easy to just hop from ride to ride all at once right as the park opened with little to no wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually, to show you how different their rope drop is and just how laid back our morning ended up being, but also how eventful our morning was. First of all, I have to share, we did have Lightning Lane.
Yeah.
That was something that we purchased, and we purchased it every day. We are Walt Disney World people. We said, when's the next time we're going to Disneyland? We purchased it. It was something that we had budgeted for from the beginning that we were going to buy that every day.
And it was totally worth it.
100% worth it. We cut many of lines. We didn't really wait for anything all week because the crowds weren't there. So when they weren't there, we went on rides, and when they were there, we used the lightning lane. So it was the perfect balance that we had. But by 12:30 that morning, we had done all of Fantasyland just about. We didn't do Peter Pan or Dumbo, or the canals.
Yeah,
by choice. By choice.
Not because we couldn't get on them.
We did Big Thunder Mountain with no wait. We did Pirates of the Caribbean. That one we had a lightning lane for, but we also did Smuggler's Run. We rode Roger Rabbit. We visited Toontown. We rode Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I believe that was a lightning lane. And we also got beignets. We did the Haunted Mansion that had the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. So we had to get our boarding group called, and it got called at like 12. So we did that. We also went bounty hunting and got Ronto wraps. All before 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was a very busy morning.
Rope dropping there is so worth it. Because it's locals, I guess, they just didn't do it. Like, we found such success with rope dropping.
Yeah.
And that's with lightning lanes. I think only maybe 2 of the things that we named there were lightning lanes. However, something to note, we had 6 rides that day that broke down when we had a lightning lane for them.
That is true.
Crazy luck. So that actually really helped our day, weirdly enough, because then we got the lightning lane to go do whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
So that ended up being really helpful, but 6 rides broke down
Yeah,
in the hour that we were supposed to ride them, which will make sense in a minute. All right, so from there, we headed over to California Adventure. It is the other park there. The first park we went to, obviously, was Disneyland Park. Second park, California Adventure.
Park hopped.
We park hopped over.
Quite literally, because you can hop from park to park.
I think if you actually step out of the Disneyland entrance and just spit, you will hit California Adventure.
They're so close together.
They're so close. And this is where it really hit us how low the crowds were with the heat. Because we walked on to Radiator Springs Racers.
Yeah.
I posted a picture on our Instagram story, and I'll be sure to make a little highlight so you guys can see, where we are the only 4 people in the car at 1 o'clock on a Friday. Like, that's crazy. Of a run weekend.
Yeah, I think the longest wait we've had up to this point in the day was like 15 minutes, maybe.
It was for Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Because we were headed over to do
Mickey and Minnie's
Runaway Railway, and it broke down, so we hopped on Roger Rabbit, but so did everybody else. So we waited 20 minutes. Oh, it said 20, we waited 15.
Yeah.
And it was one of my favorite rides.
It was a really fun ride, actually.
It was really good. So we were able to walk onto Radiator Spring Racers. We also did single rider for web slingers. We basically walked onto that.
Yeah.
And this is when we realized that, like, California obviously gets hot, but they were not prepared for the way that the heat was. On this day, it hit 109 degrees. It was the rail feel. And all of their rides were closing because they couldn't do the heat. Something crazy I've never even heard of. With Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, which is their version of Tower of Terror, had to shut down some of their elevators because it was too hot outside for them to run all of the elevators inside at one time.
Yeah, which is weird because I feel like we've been in Florida when it's hotter.
It's a different kind of heat,
I know,
I guess.
yeah. Like, it felt hotter at points when we were in Florida where nothing was closing down because of heat.
Yeah. I don't know.
It was weird.
That was one of the rides we had a lightning lane for that got shut down. We also tried to ride the Pixar Pal Around, which is the Ferris wheel that was shut down.
Yeah.
The swings were shut down. So many things were shut down because it was just too hot to run them, which is wild.
Yeah. Well, the swings were shut down because they're metal and they were sitting out in the sun.
Yeah. This is true. But absolutely wild. So the parks are actually so close together that we hopped over there with the intention that we would be back at 3 o'clock for our Blue Bayou reservation, and we were.
Which, for those keeping track on the timeline, we left Disneyland at 12:30, and we're planning on being back by 3. So that's 2.5 hours that we went and did. What did we do over there, ride wise?
We did racers, web slingers. We rode the rapids. We tried to do Soarin'. That was just happened to be closed. That wasn't just because the heat. So I think we did 3 rides.
Yeah, 3 rides though in 2.5 hours.
Maybe 4.
Disney World could never.
Maybe 4. Yeah, I don't know. It might have been 4. That's crazy.
And got back over to the park in time for a reservation.
At Disney World could never. So we made it to our reservation at Blue Bayou, which is a very well-renowned restaurant there. People love it. People swear by it. That's why we booked it. What'd you think?
Underwhelmed, I think is a good word to use. The food was delicious. Don't get me wrong. The food was fantastic. The theming was not there to me.
What was the theming?
The theming was supposed to be like it sounds, a bayou, like kind of swampy, but it was the ride is in Pirates. So I guess I was expecting a little bit more like involving the ride. And maybe if we were at a table where it was on the water or even under like the tree that they had there. They had like a tree set up or something to make it seem like you're in a swamp area. But we were just kind of at a table next to the kitchen. So I think part of that took away from the theming, in my opinion.
I think that Disneyland Paris ruined it for you. When we were in Disneyland Paris, we went to a restaurant called Captain Jack's, which is very comparable as far as theming goes. Pirates of the Caribbean runs through the restaurant. The boats go by. And the theming of it was much more there. It had a lot more going on, a lot more pirate themed, crates around you and lights around you that just gave that like pirates theme in the restaurant, where this was just kind of dark.
I don't think it ruined it for me though. I don't, because
did for me.
Because I'll be honest, like when we were sitting there, I didn't even think about Disneyland Paris and comparing it to that. I was just thinking about the fact that we were next to the kitchen the whole time.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. My back must have been to it.
Mine was too, but it was like the light coming from the kitchen and like all of the traffic and stuff, I think was what kind of ruined it for me. Like I said, I think if we were on the water or even closer to the water where we were away from all that foot traffic, I think it would have been better for me.
Yeah, I did request a table on the water, and they said that it would be an hour wait, and you had to wait in the waiting room.
Yeah, and we didn't want to do that.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They knew that if they said that, no one would wait for it.
Yeah. So, food was great, though. Food was fantastic. Your Monte Cristo was amazing.
Yeah, it was okay. A little too fried for me. I didn't know what a Monte Cristo was, though, so that's my own fault.
Yeah, I feel like we should have switched meals.
I just knew that it was a sandwich, and I wanted a sandwich. I didn't realize that it was a deep-fried sandwich that is basically a funnel cake.
Yeah. With
ham and cheese in it. It was good. I'm not... That's definitely more Rick style. Once I realized to put the chipotle I don't know how to say it. Remoulade. Once I knew to put that on it, it was much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny when they put it down. I was like, "What did I order? Why are there giant fried Oreos?"
Me the wrong thing. I got a sandwich.
These are beignets. I got a sandwich. I was so confused, but it was delicious. It just wasn't what I was expecting, but it was delicious. Yes, so we were able to do that, and then obviously more rides. We also went and hung out on Main Street a little bit because Rick bought a glass cup. Something that they do at Disneyland is if you buy something, you can get it sent to the front of the park and they'll hold it for you. At least that is what we thought. Turns out if you buy something, they will send you to the front of the park.
They will still hold it for you at the front of the park, but you have to go deliver it.
Also, they call it the front of the park. They mean outside the park. So Rick had to walk outside the park to the guest services that is in between the two parks to give them the cup.
Yeah.
We thought he had to walk to like Main Street.
And they did hold it for me, and it was very convenient. I just gave them the cup and the receipt, and they said, as long as none of your personal items are in here, we can hold it for you. And so I gave them it, and then at the end of the night, we went back. I gave them the little sheet that they gave me, and they gave me my cup. It was very convenient.
Open for an hour after the park closed.
Yeah. Except for the fact that I had to walk all the way to the front of the park. But like Gina said, we ended up going on to Main Street, which was nice because at this point we hadn't spent much time on Main Street. We just went to Starbucks and then went to Rope Drop. So
got to see the little itty bitty castle. What'd you think of the castle?
It was so small.
It looked like a toy version of a castle.
It did, yeah.
We did some more rides. We finally rode Matterhorn. We rode It's a Small World. We rode Space Mountain. Loved them all, not gonna lie. I know you didn't like Matterhorn.
Yeah, I could do without Matterhorn.
You don't like dark roller coasters, though, and that's...
Wasn't that it was dark. I just didn't enjoy it.
I was a fan. I got front row, so... We did single rider, which actually took really long. But the people that I was with were like, we don't want the front. And I was like, okay.
That might have been what ruined it for me.
That we weren't
was the
together.
fact that I had to do that by myself the first time.
Are you scared?
No, like I just enjoy riding rides with you and whoever I'm with. So
It's fair. We thought it'd be really quick because we were kind of like on a time crunch,
and it
but
was not.
it was not. So by then, it had started to cool down a little bit. We were losing that 109 degrees. We were getting closer to the 100 threshold. Every night when it hit 99, we cheered. So we headed back over to California Adventure to do all of the rides that had closed on us earlier. So then we got to ride Guardians of the Galaxy. We also checked out San Francisco, went to Pixar Pier, and we were able to do the Incredicoaster. We rode the Monsters Inc. ride. We did basically everything it felt like that they had to offer, which was really nice. And we saw the Cars Radiator Springs lights turn on. What'd you think of that?
That was really cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I think it was a one and done thing. It's not something you have to do every time you're there, but it's worth seeing once.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you need to watch it every time it happens, but it's worth seeing it once. I would go back again to see it with the normal music. Because it was another one of those things that had kind of a quote-unquote overlay. Where it was like Halloweeny and they had some Nightmare Before Christmas stuff come on. So I think I would definitely go back and watch it.
Hocus Pocus.
Was it Hocus Pocus?
It's saying I put a spell on you.
Oh, I thought it was Nightmare Before Christmas.
So what it is, for anyone who doesn't know, is when you watch the movie, you know how lightning sets it up for the lights to come on for Sally because she said she misses like the neon lights. Yeah. So right after sunset, it was like probably like 3 minutes after what time sunset said it was on the weather app. The music like switches and it starts playing the "Life Would Be a Dream."
Yeah.
Yeah. And it turns on all of the lights, like how it did in the movie.
Yeah, it goes down the street like it did in the movie.
But they used a Halloween overlay, so it actually played "I Put a Spell on You."
Yeah, so I think I would go back and watch the normal, but yeah, again, besides that, don't really need to go back more than once, I don't think.
That's fair. Okay, and the last thing we did for the night that is notable is we watched World of Color. What did you think of World of Color?
It was okay. I'm not the biggest fan of the water shows. It feels... I don't know how to put it. It just feels like they're putting a projection on water. It doesn't feel...
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, and that doesn't feel like there's a lot of effort put into it.
Not a lot of magic behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
So, I'm not the biggest fan of those shows. It's nice. This one I did enjoy because it was hot all day. And we were in the splash zone. So we got a little bit of a mist every once in a while during the show, which was nice. But the show itself, I didn't care for that much. I more enjoyed the view of Pixar Pier, which was right behind the show. Yeah,
so the show takes place right in front of Pixar Pier. So like you're looking at the giant Mickey Ferris wheel while you're riding it.
Yeah.
While you're watching it. It's a full... water show, like Rick said, where they're projecting lights and projections of movies onto the water. I didn't fully get the story of it other than color.
Yeah.
They just threw rainbows behind some movies.
Yeah.
But it was definitely worth seeing and was very cool. I would have tried if I would have realized... even Meg said, she was like, I thought every seat was a good seat because, like, she's never had a bad one, but, like, we kind of had a bad one. We, where we ended up, where we were standing, was, like, we actually had a lightning lane for it, so we were able to get in a little bit early and get the spot, but we should have went over farther because we were standing too far to the side, and it's not like they put the projections on everything of water shooting up.
Yeah.
It's mainly on the middle one. And they do put stuff on the left and right one, just not as much as they put on the middle one.
Yeah.
So a lot of our view, we couldn't really see because the angle we were at, there was light post, there was people, and we were to the right, where if they would have just put some projections on the one on the right, we would have seen no problem. Yeah. But yeah, so I would like to see it again with a center view. But I didn't feel the need to see it again while we were there that trip.
Yeah.
To use our time to see it again because I was like, it was good, but it wasn't great for our view, and I'm sure it could have been great.
Yeah.
But that was how we ended the night. We ran over and we rode the Incredicoaster one more time, and then we headed out. We were supposed to run back and do Indiana Jones, and we got the alert on our phones that it broke down. So we got a lightning lane for the next day, which is pretty cool. They gave us a free lightning lane. So notable food from that day. I only have one thing. We got Pizza Planet.
We did get Pizza Planet. It was good.
Because I feel like we had to get Pizza Planet.
Yeah.
We didn't get pizza. The pizza looked like $9 cardboard.
Yeah, it did.
We got pasta
It was
though.
overpriced. The pasta was delicious.
Some fuel for the next day when Meg and I woke up and did the 10K.
Mm-hmm. What about it?
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun. They really bobbed and weaved us through all the parks.
Yeah, you said it was a lot of it in the park.
Yeah, I think 10Ks are becoming my favorite Disney runs, honestly. If anyone was ever just looking to do like one run and didn't know what to do, I would tell them to do a 10K.
Okay.
Because it tends to keep you the most in the parks and the resorts, and that I feel like is what a Disney run is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Where the half marathons, full marathons, they put you a lot on the highway. They have to, which makes sense, but...
Or obviously a 5K if that's...
Yeah, or a 5K. But if someone was like, no, but even the 10Ks I feel like are more worth it than the 5Ks. They're only a little bit more expensive, and you're getting so much more in the park that if someone could only do one, I would tell them 10K. But yeah, so 10Ks are like very quickly becoming my favorite.
That's fair.
So we were actually able to get to the park around 9:30 that day. We went right to Disney California Adventure, and our goal was to do, again, the stuff that was closed the day before. So they did this thing called Guardians. It was Monsters After Dark at Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. So the day before, because of the weather, because it was so hot, we didn't get to Guardians until 3 o'clock when it had already switched to the Monsters After Dark. Well, until after 3 o'clock. It was like later in the night by the time we got there. So today we made sure that we got on the normal Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Everyone thinks it's better than Tower of Terror. What do you think?
I think they're different. Like, I know it's the same ride pattern and stuff, but it feels different to me.
Yeah, it's hard to compare them.
It is really hard to compare them. The nostalgia of Tower of Terror is giving it a little bit of an edge for me, even though I'm a big fan of Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy. I will say the daytime one is a lot closer to Tower of Terror for me than Monsters After Dark. I wasn't the biggest fan of Monsters After Dark.
It made you sick, didn't it?
Yeah.
But the normal...
But just in general, like, I liked the normal one better than Monsters After Dark. But partially because it made me sick, but also partially just because of the ride in general. I thought the one during the day was better.
Okay. We also got to ride the Wheel of Death.
Yeah, that was fun.
Pixar pal around, if you will. I liked that. We stacked the one side so that we flung all around.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, this is the Ferris wheel that has swinging gondolas so that you're not just sitting still like your gondola is moving.
I feel like you're going to go upside down.
You do. It's really hard to explain what it is if you haven't seen it, so go ahead and look up a video because it's really cool. It's called the Pixar Pal Around.
Yeah.
We also were able to ride Web Slingers as a group, not single rider, and we did the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail. And this is very similar to the Dinoland Boneyard.
Yeah.
Like a play area for kids, except it was so hot that we were the only people in there, and a few things of it were actually closed. This day it hit 106 for the high.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff we weren't able to do because it was too hot. So you couldn't touch the tires because you would melt.
Mm-hmm. It was a nice little break from waiting in lines and being in the crowds and stuff, though. Just going and kind of adventuring a little bit.
Yeah. As was the Animation Academy, PhilharMagic, and Soarin', which was our nice little breaks in the air conditioning in the middle of the day.
What'd you think of the Animation Academy?
I thought it was really cool. We didn't do the drawing, which is an option there. We actually went into the back and, like, they have this thing where you learned animation and, like, learned how to make something animated. And it was very cool to do. We made a Mickey balloon fly up and then back down is what we drew.
It was super fun.
Yeah, it was something very different. It used to have like 3 sections to it where you could go like in the Beast Library and Ursula's Grotto, but now it's just the one section.
Yeah. With
the magic mirror. Which is interesting. Kind of hard to explain it, but yeah, you learned how to animate, not just how to draw.
They had the wheels that you like spin.
It was very cool.
Yeah. Something
very different to see.
Yeah, I liked it.
And again, in the air conditioning. It's either PhilharMagic.
Same as ours.
Ours is better.
You think?
Ours
has more like...
theater is made for it. Theirs is in the same theater as the Muppet.
Yeah,
Vision
that's
3D. 3D. And we park hopped over to Disneyland Park.
Big shock.
Big shock. Busy days, just doing things nonstop. And there we were park hop. We were able to check out Toontown and Runaway Railway, go to Frontierland, go ride Pirates. And something that we did that I was really excited to do was we walked through the castle and got to see the story of Sleeping Beauty through the castle.
Yeah, it was fun.
How did you liked it?
Yeah, I liked the one in Paris a little bit better. I thought it was more elegant and intricate, but I did enjoy it, and I always wish that we could walk through the castle in Disney World, but I understand why we can't, because there's millions of people there.
Fair. Definitely fair. And because there's a restaurant in there.
Yes, true. That too.
There's no space for a restaurant in the one at Disneyland.
No, there's not much space for anything in that one.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It was warm in there.
Yeah, but we went when it was a little bit cooler, so
yeah. So
not
thank
as
goodness.
bad.
But it was definitely cool, and it was something that was on my list of things that I wanted to do.
Mhm.
So I was very happy to do it. Now, this night, we did something that Rick and I never do.
We left before the park closed.
Yeah, we did. Crazy.
Yeah, but we had the half marathon the next day, so that's why.
Yeah, we had to be up at 3. My alarm was set for 3:20. I think we got up at like 3.
Yeah.
I think we were up and moving at around 3.
And the park that night closed at like 11, so we were like, we're not gonna make it if we stay till 11 and then
Get back at midnight.
go to bed. We'll get like 2 hours of sleep and then have to run a half marathon. So we went back and we got 5 hours of sleep.
we were a little more realistic with it. I was in bed, eyes closed at 8:45.
Okay.
And this is where the time difference actually really worked in our favor because like that was 11:30 for us.
Yeah, it was weird because it felt like our times 3 hours earlier. Like when we
Like,
woke
it
up
felt
at,
like
when we
11:30.
woke up at 3, it felt like I had been like, so I wake up at 4:45 for work every morning. When we woke up at 3, it felt like my normal days when I'm up for an hour and a half at that
Like
point.
you slept in.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, it was definitely where I felt that the most. I'm a night person, so I didn't mind it at night. Like being up until 11, which would be like 2 our time, that didn't
Yeah.
bug me. But in the morning for the runs, I could feel it while we were standing in the corrals waiting. I was like, I'm more awake right now than I was before the runs in Disney World.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I was like, I am significantly more awake, and like it's a difference of 3 hours. But like that's a huge difference. Like
Big difference.
I'm not normally up at 6 a.m., but being up at 6 instead of being up at 3, you feel that.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I'm done, especially because the runs don't start till 5. That's 8 a.m. I was like, it's 8
Yeah.
a.m. right now. This is when I get up. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I feel great. So if you're an East Coaster and you're going to the West Coast for a run, you're gonna love it.
If you're a West Coaster and you're going to the East Coast for a run, good luck.
Have fun.
I
fun
can't imagine that's gonna feel great.
Have fun waking up at midnight.
Yeah.
But notable food from day 3, day 2 in the park.
Corn.
Yeah, you got the corn
I got the corn at what's it called?
in San Francisco.
San Francisco. Yeah.
The big Hero 6 themed area.
Yeah, they have a street. They have an area with some burrito tacos and street corn that we got, and they were both really good. The burrito tacos were fantastic.
I love a good. It's
And-
a Meg correct us. It's birria.
Birria tacos and street corn. Street corn was fantastic. I got it twice. Naturally.
We also went to Pim's Test Kitchen that day,
Oh, we did do
which is on in
yes.
Avengers Campus. It's
which
where
was one of my must-dos for the trip.
yes, the food is either like really big or really small.
I thought it was good. I enjoyed the food and the drinks.
Thought the food was delicious. I didn't realize you can't tell from photos online that Pim's Test Kitchen is only outdoor seating.
Yeah.
That
would've
was
been nice
a
to know.
little bit discouraging when it was 106 degrees.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, cool, we'll go get lunch.
Yeah.
And everything was out and about. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, but I thought the food and drinks were good, so definitely would recommend that if you're an Avengers fan.
Yes. And then I got chili in a sourdough bowl while we were on Main Street.
Which I thought was great.
I thought the chili was good. I learned I don't like sourdough. I thought that I didn't like sourdough here. Because bread in Philly, bread in the Northeast portion of the United States is very different than bread other places. Our water
Yeah.
is different. Our bread is different. Because of that, our sourdough, from what I'm told, is not that good because it's much better on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that I didn't like sourdough because it wasn't good here. So I kept getting it in Disneyland and kept not liking it. But this bread bowl with the chili, it was chili mac and cheese that I got in it. That was when I finally was like, okay, I might not like sourdough.
If you like sourdough, which I do, it was very good sourdough.
Was it? It was
Yeah.
a good sourdough?
Yeah.
See, I just
Yeah.
learned
I really liked it. I enjoyed it a lot, so.
Good to know. I'm the problem. Yeah, those were our notable foods from the day.
Yeah.
And the last day. Our last day in the park, day 4.
Big day.
First of all, the high that day was 103 degrees on the day of a half marathon.
Warm day.
Very warm day. They had flags out to tell you what the temperature was during the run. For the 10K, it was in green the whole time. For the half, it was in yellow, which means it was still, like, not bad conditions, but not ideal.
Yeah.
And I was a little confused because it definitely was cooler that day, and then we started running, and I quickly realized there was a little bit of humidity in the air that there wasn't the other days we were there, and you could feel that all day.
Yeah, you could.
So that was interesting. But we ran the half. How was your first run Disney run? Would you do another?
I wouldn't do a half marathon again. I think I would stick in the sweet spot of a 10K, like you said. But I don't regret it because we got to go through the parks a lot, and we got to go through Angel Stadium, which was the coolest part to me.
Yeah.
So around mile like 11, when you're kind of ready to give up because you're just tired of running, they take you through Angel Stadium. So you run through the big A in the parking lot, and then you go actually into the stadium, and you run around home plate, and you run back out the other side of the outfield. So that was really cool and made it worth it for me.
Yeah, that's fair. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah. What about you?
Only would have been cooler if the Phillies were there.
That's true.
Would I do it again?
No, like how did you like it compared to other Disney half marathons and other runs that you've done?
I really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of entertainment because everyone really talks down on the Disneyland ones.
Okay.
So I think my expectations were just really low. They always say that like once you get on the highway and stuff, once you're going through Anaheim, there's not much entertainment. But Disney supplied like maybe 3 or 4 bands, which is like a pretty decent amount. There was also a lot of water stops on the highway that were already pre-planned before the heat wave was even scheduled to hit. So like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot to look forward to as you were going. Like, okay, just get this much farther, just get this much farther. With it being so much on the highway, there was also a lot of locals who just came out and cheered you on, which was really cool. And the parts through the parks were really fun. I wish there could have been a little bit more in the parks, like there was for the 10K, but it still was a decent amount in the parks. It just was all at the beginning.
Yeah. So
that part was a little strange. But it was really entertaining to be running through Anaheim and just seeing like Tinkerbell run down the street.
Yeah.
Like, because when you run at Walt Disney World, like it's all on their property. Like,
yeah,
Disneyland has to use the city of Anaheim, so that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. I would do another Disneyland run. I definitely would, but I don't feel. Honestly, I don't feel the urge to do another Disney run in general for a while.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just run out. Maybe it's just because the 10Ks were so much better than the halves and the fulls.
Maybe.
In my opinion, except for the satisfaction that I got after the full. That can't be beat.
Yeah, you can't.
That can't be beat. But yeah, I don't have the urge to do it again for a while. But if I did, I would recommend doing it in Disneyland if people would. I'm going to recommend Disney World too. Mm-hmm. Run Disney is just above any other runs that you do. It's a whole different beast of runs.
Yeah, you talk very highly of them before this, and experiencing it myself, I agree.
Yeah, we do runs in Philly, and they're fun, but they're not Run Disney fun.
Yeah,
they're very different though. Like I PR when I do Philly, I like run like 2 minutes slower per mile when I do Run Disney because there's just so much to experience.
Yeah.
Not as many photo pass in the Disneyland runs.
Okay.
Not as many photo pass. No, I didn't feel like there was as many characters. And the few spots where there were, the lines were crazy, much longer than they get at Disney World. Maybe because there's more at Disney World, I don't know, but definitely it was crazy. Yeah, I had a good time. And after the half, we celebrated by doing the Walt's Main Street Story Tour, which I was so excited for this. This was a tour very similar to Keys to the Kingdom at Walt Disney World, except for the fact that it was 90 minutes. You walked up and down Main Street for about 30 of it. Then we spent about 30 of it in Walt's own apartment, Walt Disney's apartment that is above the firehouse on Main Street. And then we went on to Walt and Lily Disney's private patio where we had cookies and soda.
And you had a great time.
I did have a great time. I'm a big Disney history person. Some of the stuff they told us I already knew, but again, I'm a big Disney history person. Like when I get bored, I'll just sit and read about Disney history. I have multiple books on my shelf just about the history of Disney and Disneyland and Disney World. And I find that entertaining and I'm not ashamed of that. So, but getting to go into the apartment and getting to really feel like, okay, this is where Walt was. I'm walking where he walks. Like that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I enjoyed the bit in his apartment. The stuff on Main Street, I think it was just a little too hot But when we were actually in his apartment, I enjoyed all the facts and information that we got there, and seeing all of the relics and stuff like that. I don't know if relics is the right word. I don't think they're that old. And then the patio was okay. It was cool to see the view and everything. We got to see a little parade go by, which was cool because that was part of the reason that they had the patio built, was so that they could watch the parades from up there. So being able to see it like they did was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I had a good time.
Yeah. I've done Keys to the Kingdom, and comparing the two, Keys to the Kingdom is definitely a more worth it tour and a more informative and like educational tour, as far as like the history and like why they do things the way that they did and things like that. This felt like more, they tied everything together, but it was a lot of like spitting facts at you.
Yeah, it was.
Where when you do Keys to the Kingdom at Walt Disney World, it's a lot more of like, let me tell you a story about this. Like, let me paint you a word picture and tell you why they did these things that they did, and make you like understand. And like, they kind of piece everything together that you didn't even know the pieces were apart. Where this was, oh, if you look at that window, this is that person.
Yeah.
And they just told you facts. They're like, oh, if you look here, here's a hidden Mickey. Like, and you got a lot of history about Walt Disney, which was cool. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to any history buff, any Disney history buff. But it was a little steep. It was $160. Where, again, to compare it to the Keys of the Kingdom at Walt Disney World, that one's, I think it's $125, and it's 5 or 6 hours, and you get lunch and ride 2 rides.
Yeah.
And this was $160 for 90 minutes, a cookie and a bottle of soda, and no rides. So you gotta decide if you think if it's something you would enjoy, if it's worth it. That was a good chunk of our day, and we had made a list before we went where we each wrote down things that were our must-dos. So we spent the rest of the day basically checking off our must-dos. Here's what we haven't done yet that we need to do. A lot of it was food because it was so hot there that we didn't eat nearly as much as we wanted to.
Yeah.
And even trying to check off the food, I still didn't check off everything on my list that I wanted to try.
Me either.
Because it was just too hot.
Yeah, we also couldn't find the one thing on my list, so.
What was the one thing?
The mozzarella stick.
Yeah, I don't think they had it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it because we looked where it was supposed to be and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And the raspberry macaroon, I wanted to get that really badly, and it was just too hot that it was like, I'm not ready. Okay, now the park's closing.
Yeah, didn't eat nearly as much food as I was hoping to.
No, I have to agree with that. There was a few rides that we also had to check off. We hadn't done the Alice in Wonderland ride, the Altitopia, which was a walk-on because it was 103 degrees and it's completely in the sun. And we stayed in Disneyland Park until our lunch reservation, because we had done the Fantasmic package, their dining package. It was $35, and we got to do the quick service one, which was at Rancho del Zocalo Restaurante. Sorry, I'm really bad at Spanish, guys, if you haven't realized by now. And this was Mexican food.
It was pretty good.
Almost everything in Disneyland was Mexican food, though, for the record.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Your options were like chicken fingers or Mexican food, or corn dogs.
Food was good. It was more filling than I was expecting it to be.
$35, and it was a huge meal. You could choose between carne asada, shrimp tacos, or something else that was vegetarian.
I don't remember.
Or maybe a chicken. I don't know. We got the carne asada and the shrimp tacos, and we shared them.
And they were great.
And it came with potato salad and rice and beans and a piece of cake and a drink. And then you got VIP viewing for Fantasmic, which made it worth every single penny, because we got to our VIP viewing that night and we had a great seat front and center for Fantasmic.
We did. It was worth it.
100% worth it. And I would recommend doing the quick service one, because the people who paid $85 to eat at Blue Bayou, $85 per person, were sitting right next to us.
Yeah.
Like, they separated us. They had, like, boxes taped off, but, like, they were right next to us. Like, I could have reached out and held their hand. Yeah, so I definitely recommend just doing the quick service if you're just doing it for the seats. Get the $35 one. Don't waste all of your time and your money, and you'll still get a great seat. Yeah. Everyone sits down on the ground for it. It's fantastic. This was another park hopping day, so after we ate lunch, we park hopped over. We did a few more rides. We rode what is now Ric's favorite ride at Disneyland.
The Incredicoaster. I think I just like it because it's an actual, like, thrill roller coaster. Like, obviously we have Rock and Roller Coaster, and there's rides like that, like Space Mountain, but this one was just your classic steel roller coaster. It was outside. It was smooth. It was nice. And the last ride that we did was awesome because we were in the front row. Because when we rode it the first 2 times, the first time we were pretty far in the back, and I felt like I missed a lot. The next time we rode it, we were in like the second row, and I felt like I saw more of it, but I wanted to see all of it. So the last time we rode it, we made sure we were in the front, and I thought it was 100% worth it asking for the front because I felt like I saw way more in the front than I did anywhere else.
But I see more, in true Disney fashion, it is still telling a story while you're riding the roller coaster.
Yeah.
So he got to see more of the story that they are telling about how Jack was missing.
Yeah.
We did most of Pixar Pier while we were over there. This is when we actually realized we heard an announcement that some live entertainment wasn't coming out because of the heat. And that was when we realized how much live entertainment we had actually missed out on because of the heat. They had characters out, no face characters, only costume characters, and the costume characters all were hiding in the shade when they were out. This is all weekend that I'm talking about right now. There was very little live entertainment and actual people out and about, and we realized that day that there should have been way more because that's one of the things people always talk about, and Meg was like, no, there is normally more. The heat really ruined that for us as far as getting to experience that. Even like the superheroes walking around Avengers Campus, like we saw a lot of them at night, but none in the day. We saw them do their shows up top, but no one walking around because it was just too hot for any characters or any entertainment to come out safely. And the characters that were out were in the shade. They were in whatever shady spot they could find in the general area of where they were supposed to be. They weren't just wandering around. So that made us realize that. But we really enjoyed Pixar Pier. We enjoyed Toy Story Mania. We enjoyed the swings that we got to do. One was open, one was closed. So did as much as we could before heading on back over to watch Fantasmic. Yeah. When Fantasmic ended, we watched the first show, so we still had like an hour and a half to run around the park. We finished up what we had to do in Fantasyland. We rode Indiana Jones again because that became one of our favorite rides. Yeah, that one we rode that like 3 times by the end of the trip, I think.
Has me excited for the change that they're doing to Dinosaur.
But they're not changing it to that. They've said it's going to be a completely new Indiana Jones experience.
But it's the same ride track.
No, I think that they, based off what they said, that's gone.
Oh, I thought they were doing the same track.
No, they clarified it's going to be completely new. I think to make sure people know that it's not going to be using the same track.
Gotcha, okay.
So, we'll see what they do.
Yeah, okay. Still excited.
Yeah, me too. We got ice cream. Delicious. You have to get ice cream. Yeah. In Disney. Their ice cream takes forever because they allow mobile order for ice cream, and it was probably about 20 minutes of just sitting there waiting for it. But that's okay. That's one of our notable foods. I also tried the churro toffee. Highly recommend. They sell in all the bakery cases. And also need to recommend the carne asada fries that I got at Award Wieners. I went to get a hot dog and walked out with steak fries.
Those were really good too.
And I was not upset about it. They were delicious. Any notable foods for you from that day?
I don't think so. Like I said, I didn't eat as much as I wanted to because it was just so warm, and I felt like I was staying hydrated, but I just wasn't hungry for most of the day.
Yeah, there's also people respond 2 different ways after a run. They're either absolutely starving or they are not hungry all day, and then the next day they feast.
That's more the way I am.
The next day you feast. Yeah. But that was it. We went home after the park closed. We stayed till midnight. We stayed until park closed.
We did.
We made it work.
It was a long day.
It was a very long day, but it was very worth it. We went home, back to the hotel, woke up the next morning. Our flight was at 11, so we let ourselves sleep until like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Packed up and Ubered to LAX to fly home.
Would you go back?
Yes. Absolutely. I adored it. I really did. Anything that I said here that might have sounded a little bit negative, it wasn't meant to. It might have just been me just comparing it or whatever, but I absolutely adored it. I love that feeling of this is the original. I thought California Adventure was phenomenal.
I thought it was too.
And done amazing and so much fun, and I want more time there to go run around and have a good time. I thought Lightning Lane was worth it, and it really helped us get around and cut the lines because, again, some people are locals, so they're not buying Lightning Lane. So it was super helpful as far as cutting the line goes, and I cannot wait to go back. And I hope to go back when they have the normal fireworks going. Yeah. And we can see the fireworks over the little itty bitty pretty castle. Would you go back?
Yeah, I would go back.
Okay. That wasn't as convincing as mine.
Yeah, I don't know when I would go back.
I'm
but
not
I know
in
I
a
would
rush to go back.
Yeah.
But I would not be upset if someone was like, we're going to California. You want to come? Yep. Count me in.
Because, like, I do... Yeah, exactly. Because I do enjoy the size of Walt Disney World. And it's significantly smaller as a whole. Like, the parks themselves didn't feel much smaller than Walt Disney World. But as a whole, it was very noticeable that the property itself was smaller.
Yeah, I'd like to go back and use our Disney Vacation Club points to actually stay on property. We didn't stay at one of the hotels because by the time we bought into DVC, it was already sold out there. We were already past our booking window to book there. And then we were going to pay cash, but their resorts are the equivalent of a deluxe resort at Walt Disney World, so they were like $500 a night for that weekend, and that just was not in the cards for us. It was not happening when there was a Marriott down the street that we got for significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go back and use the Disney Vacation Club points and stay on property while we were there and just do it all. Like, stay in the more of the bubble of what they have, but their bubble is significantly smaller and very easily popped compared to Walt Disney World, where I think Walt Disney World you can go for 2 weeks and still do something different every single day and be exploring, and there's something new to do. And they had a lot to do, but like, it's definitely you could do it in a few days.
Yeah.
Even the third day there, like if we really wanted to, we could have done it in 2. Our third day was a tour and then kind of moseying from thing to thing, walking super slow because we all ran a half marathon that morning. So like, I loved it and I would love to go back. And I know when I go back, I want to stay at their hotel to get more of the in the bubble experience.
That's fair.
That's it though.
Sorry for the long episode.
It wasn't that bad. Once we edit it, it's not going to be too bad.
Yeah. Still about an hour.
About an hour. Not too bad. Thank God we were only there for 3 park days. Am I right?
But hopefully you enjoyed our recap. If there's anything else that we didn't touch on, like Gina said, we're going to have a whole episode coming up where we compare Disneyland rides to Disney World rides for the ones that are the same. For example, Pirates of the Caribbean, Big Thunder Mountain, stuff like that. But if there's any other questions you had just about our trip in general, you can feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Spill the D Podcast. On TikTok, if you want, also at Spill the D Podcast.
At Spill the D Pod.
At Spill the D Pod. You can email us, spilldpod@gmail.com. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our recap. And until next time, we will
see you at the little itty bitty castle.